Senator Paxton is recognized for a motion to suspend the regular order of business, the intent calendar, and the printing rule to take up and consider the committee substitute for Senate Bill 835.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members. I move to suspend the regular order of business, the intent calendar, and the printing rule to take up and consider the committee substitute to Senate Bill 835, Trey's Law. Members, Trey Carlock, for whom this bill is named, took his own life at the age of 28 after being silenced by a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, following repeated sexual abuse by the same abuser at Kanakuk camps, horrifically from the age of 7 until the age of 17. While a non-disclosure agreement may have legitimate use for some business agreements, NDAs have also been used to silence sexual abuse victims. This perverse application protects predators and the entities or institutions whose negligence enabled the abuse, and it facilitates continued abuse by shielding the perpetrator. Worst of all, perhaps, it takes away the most critical element of a victim's healing, their voice. Members, Trey's Law does not prohibit settlement agreements or the confidentiality of certain provisions of those settlements. But with passage of Trey's Law, NDAs in cases of sexual abuse will become void and unenforceable as against the public policy of the great state of Texas. Members, in testimony, it was repeated over and over again that telling the story of the abuse is central to the healing journey of that abuse for the victims. The decision of how and when and where and with whom to share that story should be the decision of the survivor, not the decision of the abuser. The culture of silencing victims in the name of protecting the reputation of an organization must change in the state of Texas. And with the passage of Trey's Law, it will. Members, I am grateful for the bipartisan support of Trey's Law in both chambers. My deepest thanks to Senator Hancock for his incredible leadership on this issue, and to the author of the House bill, Trey's Law, Chairman Jeff Leach. Members, with that, I move to suspend.
Senator Menendez, for what purpose?
Questions of the author, Mr. President.
Senator Paxton, do you yield?
Of course.
Senator Menendez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. So first of all, Senator Paxton, let me say thank you for working on this bill. I've worked on similar legislation in the past. I mean, this has been an ongoing issue for quite some time. A lot of very notable, wealthy, disgusting human beings have gotten away with abusing people because they had a wallet and a big checkbook that they could write to get an NDA. It's a long time in coming. My question is, there were several bills that were before the State Affairs Committee that were moving and being heard. Is this bill similar, or is this the strongest version of the bills that were heard? Because I believe you and both Chairman Leach had a bill that worked on this.
Thank you, Senator Menendez, for the opportunity to clarify and speak into that. First of all, yes, this is an important bill. And I don't know that I had shared this with you, but months into me working on this concept, which began last fall, I discovered after filing the bill that one of my students, when I was a teacher, was the victim of the same perpetrator who had abused Trey Carlock. And so this bill is personal for me, and no doubt in this chamber, whether we even know it or not, we know people who have been affected by this. It's a very underreported crime. Chairman Leach began his bill over Trey's law in the House. Senator Hancock also had a bill that was identical to Chairman Leach. My bill was very similar. My bill began as specifically for child sexual abuse because of the victims that I was dealing with. But we passed in committee in State Affairs unanimously both the House bill and the Senate bill that we are looking at today, and they are identical to the House version that passed.
Right. Well, and so this bill is to any victim of sexual abuse. It's not necessarily just a child. It can be anybody.
There is no age limit on this bill.
Very good. Yeah, no, there's a long and dark history in this country with, obviously the most notable of all these scumbags is Harvey Weinstein, who used his checkbook to quiet and silence people and allow himself to continue to prey on women. And so I appreciate you bringing this bill forward, and I look forward to signing on as a co-author of your bill, and I appreciate it. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Or Senator Menendez.
Senator Paxton moves suspension of the regular order of business on the committee substitute for Senate Bill 835. Is there objection? Hearing none, rules are suspended. Chair lays out on second reading the committee substitute for Senate Bill 835. The secretary will read the caption.
Committee substitute Senate Bill 835 relating to the enforceability of certain non-disclosure or confidentiality provisions with respect to an act of sexual abuse.
Senator Paxton is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move passage to engrossment.
Senator Paxton moves passage to engrossment. Is there objection? Hearing none, the bill is passed to engrossment. Senator Paxton is recognized for a motion to suspend the constitutional 3-day rule. Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Bettencourt, Birdwell, Blanco, Campbell.
There being 31 ayes and 0 nays, the rules are suspended. The chair lays out on third reading. And final passage the committee substitute for Senate Bill 835. Secretary will read the caption.
Committee substitute Senate Bill 835 relating to the enforceability of certain non-disclosure or confidentiality provisions with respect to an act of sexual abuse.
Senator Paxton is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members. On behalf of all of those who have undergone this traumatic experience, who will be free to speak and pursue their healing, I move final passage of committee substitute to Senate Bill 835, Trey's law.
Senator Paxton moves final passage of the committee substitute for the Senate Bill 835. The secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Bettencourt, Birdwell, Blanco, Campbell, Cook, Creighton, Edvard.
There being 31 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is finally passed. Congratulations, Senator Paxton.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, members.